the history of science, we focus on the mechanical reality and have let go of the concept of energy and fields as information in biology.
The reason I'm so passionate about bioenergetics and how it's able to improve your health, because 20 years ago I was bedridden with chronic fatigue syndrome, which I had for a full 8 years. Out of that, I ended up meeting this amazing scientist called Peter Fraser, who mapped out the human body field. And the end result of this was that we ended up being able to both detect the body field, but also correct it. And from that, I got my health back.
There was this enormous growth of biochemistry, and it was then thought that chemistry is possibly, we're a chemical machine. The answer is to put the right chemical in the body and you'll get better. To a point, that's correct. But it doesn't appear to be correct for chronic disease. It's correct in the short term.
Bioenergetics, it means the study of energy in living systems. Inside the body, there's actually energy flowing everywhere. And not only can our body absorb and use energy from outside itself, it also generates its own energy and has its own energy flows within the body. A couple of very simple examples that we can see of that is our heart is constantly producing an electromagnetic field which you can pick up with an EKG. Also, in a similar manner, our brain and nervous system are able to generate alpha and delta waves which you can pick up with an ECG. Now, whenever you get energy flowing from one place to another, you also get a field surrounding that energy. And this is exactly what happens in our own biology. Overall, our body is constantly producing what's called the human body field.
One of the fundamental things that has to change in the future of medicine is this focus on the gene as being the solution to every illness.
New science is just mind-boggling because it reveals that through epigenetic mechanisms, through the influence of the environment on reading the genes, epigenetic mechanisms can produce over 30,000 different variations from every gene blueprint. And all of a sudden, when you start to recognize that, you realize we have potentials that are totally unlimited. This is a great change from a belief that genes were deterministic. Now, genes are potentials.
There's a hierarchy of fields organizing our bodies. There's the field of the whole body, there's the fields of the organs, and then the fields of the tissues, and then the fields of the cells within those. The field of our own body is within and around the body. There's an overall field for the whole body, and then there's subsidiary fields, sort of modular fields for arms, legs, and the different organs. The advantage of fields is that they're intrinsically holistic. All fields are holistic.
There are receptor cells, receptor protein cells, on the outside of the cell, which are simply there to receive environmental information. How is my day today? What is going on out there? What does the body want this little cell to do today? There has to be intercellular communication, but there has to be one source so there can be one control system for the body.
Morphogenetic fields, or more generally fields of information, yes, are control systems over and above the molecular level or the biochemical level. They're systems that organize the body, they organize the developing organism.
Now, the concept of the body field has been well known for thousands and thousands of years, and elements of this can be seen in Ayurvedic medicine, and also in Chinese medicine and acupuncture. However, it's not till fairly recently that these fields have been able to be mapped out much more accurately. And of course, if you can make a map of these fields, you can get really good information out of them on what might be the root causes of what's going on in people's health. So I was really fortunate to meet the scientist Peter Fraser, who'd spent 25 years in mapping out the information and energy of the human body field. Now, the end result of that is we're able to correct the distortions that are in the body field and bring it back to its original blueprint. We're able to trigger the body's own self-healing mechanism, and miraculously, people get their health back.
I'm out of here, and I'm so glad I came. My foot,
Your foot's better. I'm
my
so
foot
happy.
is so much better. You know, I came limping in, and I'm walking out, and you said, "How's my foot?" I forgot there's anything wrong with it.
Awesome.
You've been taking good care of me.
Yeah.
I
Thank
liken
you.
it to the child's development in the uterus. When the egg is first there are signals that come from the source. I don't know where that's coming from, but it's our intrinsic development of the egg into a being. And there's signals come by. There are low frequency signals that correlate with the development of the nervous system. There's little higher frequencies that correlate with development with the heart. And signals, as we go further along in development, the signals go higher and higher. And what the nest does, it works along a similar fashion. It allows the body to receive, by signaling, energetic signals, just like it had when it was being developed.
Now, the mapping of the human body field is as much a scientific breakthrough as the discovery and mapping out of genes, because with this blueprint of the body field, it means that we're not only able to detect what the distortions in the body field are, we can also correct them. Most of us really think that biochemistry is controlling and governing everything that's going on in the body. Now, that's okay and true up to a point. However, fundamentally, even when we're looking at biochemistry, really it's another form of energy. I.e., if you look at Einstein's original famous quote where he says E equals mc squared, what he's saying there is that matter is equivalent to energy. And then he has a second very famous quote where he says, the field is the sole governing force of the particle. And what he means by that is you cannot have a particle, you cannot have any matter unless you have a field that's governing it.
So these signals can cause a change in the body field and into the physiological processes that's more basic than biochemistry or working just with one specific chemical compound, trying to energetically change, say, the mitochondria or foods that are going to provide energy for the body. It's different because it provides a signal for the body to heal itself. What's hard to understand is it really doesn't do anything except provide the signal. The body does everything else.
We know we're sending out information with biophoton emissions because people like Fritz Popp have discovered that we are sending out tiny currents of light.
Molecules cannot regulate themselves. They have to have a field, more or less. So the photons should be the carrier of the information which is necessary to regulate the metabolism.
Epigeneticists have discovered that the information inside every cell, the thing that switches it on and turns it on and changes things, is not inside the cell, but outside. Signals occur outside from the environment.
As Peter and I were mapping out the human body field, we really broke it out into two distinct components. One, we were looking at how the body field is generated. In other words, the strength of the body field and how each organ is able to contribute to the overall human body field. And secondly, we're also looking at how energy flowed across the body. Now, this is very related to the Chinese meridian system. However, we were able to map it out in a much more elegant detail. We use a principle called resonance to detect distortions in the energy of the human body field. Now, to understand resonance, we really just have to look at a pair of tuning forks. And if we strike the tuning fork here and it started making a humming sound, as if by magic, the tuning fork nearby also starts humming at the same frequency. Now this is simply because both the tuning forks are tuned into the same frequency, so we get an exchange of information from that resonance effect from one tuning fork to the other.
Dr. Moldovan has a new device that claims to help take pain away. So Dr. Moldovan, you've been using this device on your patients with TMJ pain?
That's right, Travis. I've been using this device for over a year now, and the nice thing about it is it takes the pain without any side effects. It works just like Chinese medicine. It's based on the meridian pathways that are in our body. You know, our body is just an electrical being, basically. So what it does is just like it's a reset button for the energy to flow freely in our body.
Once we'd mapped out the human body field, we started to look at ways that we could both detect and to correct the body field. And we do this through a couple of ways. We use our own BioTouch sensor to detect the distortions that are going on in the body field. And then from the information that we get from that scan, we then select the right infoceuticals, which are information imprinted remedies, to help bring the body field back to its original blueprint.
We've learned how to stop the distortion of information that occurs as a result of various disease processes. Once you stop the distortion, surprisingly enough, the physiology begins to work, the chemistry comes right. There are really wonderful healing stories to be told here.
Within 10 minutes, you can actually see her ankles completely down and even the upper part of her big toe.
And it's simply because we've learned how to correct the distortion of information in your body field.
Disease is, in a sense, scrambled information. And so if we can access the appropriate information, we correct the scrambling. And that's what a number of these new energy modalities are doing. They're basically correcting that information scrambling.
It's fascinating to see how things can change just over a time of a couple of weeks or so.
So I would say what healing is learning to correct the human body field so that it works according to the original blueprint. We have a viable scientific theory for how the body stores and accesses information. So we do have a medical revolution on our hands.
Informational medicine, medicine that takes information and changes disturbed information, is going to be the future of medicine.